What's up, brownies? Make sure you watch this video in its entirety and that you share it with every black woman you know. And here's why I say this. What I want to show in this video is, first and foremost, that there's a process and an escalation before you get to Cassie level bad or Nicole Brown Simpson level bad. It really starts off with about the way that Greg was treating Quad. Now that sounds odd, but I want you to hear me out on this. And the reason why I say share it with every black woman is because black women will not be protected or believed in the way that Cassie is believed. You won't receive the $30 million, mostly because, as you know, once black men get a lot of money, they tend to not deal with you anymore. They will instead waste their resources like Diddy did, wasting his resources on Cassie when that could have gone to his actually talented black artist. Cassie, whereas she is a real victim, she's vocally talentless. I want you to notice the difference between, even though Cassie was young and sleeping with men that were in the industry, nobody is calling her out for sleeping her way up like they did R. Kelly's victims. Everybody is screaming surviving brother love now, right? So with R. Kelly's victims, the black girls, they were chasing clout, and this is what they did. They were trying to sleep their way to the top, and they got what they deserved. But did Ryan Leslie get what he deserved? See, nobody is screaming surviving Cassie as it pertains to Ryan Leslie and what it cost him emotionally and financially. You see, he was in a healthy, loving relationship with Cassie, business and personal. And let's just keep it a buck. She left Ryan so that she could go and secure the bag with Diddy. And look at how that worked out for her. But once again, since we know she's a real victim, nobody's pointing out the gold digger aspect of this. Just like nobody spoke up for or protected Kim Porter. See, we're talking about patterns of behavior here, and I talked about that in a previous video that I want you to go back and watch. But the same thing that Diddy did to Kim Porter that people knew about, I'm sure Cassie started hearing all of these stories about how Diddy does, just like the rest of us has been hearing this for years from all of the different rappers in the industry. What's his name? Gary Bean, Jaguar Wright. So many stories have come out about how abusive Diddy was, and yet Cassie stayed. Once again, we 1000% believe her and we sympathize with her. But what I'm trying to show black women is you all need to get out at these first signs, because people are not going to give you the benefit of the doubt and the way that they're doing Cassie. You going to end up like Kim Porter. You're not going to make it to the 30 million. Okay. So she's talking about how she was so scared to leave, and yet she did. And I want you to pay attention to when she left. She took her fame and the money that she had acquired right on back to her community or somebody who is more like her. See, we're the only ones that do not learn. And that is why I am making this video, so that you can see the signs, the pattern of behavior, how you are going to be treated differently and not protected when you are being victimized, and what we can do to help save ourselves in the future. I'm just pointing out to black women specifically that for the black women who have been harmed in recent headlines, people are questioning whether they were combative too and what they did to the man. Nobody is asking this of Cassie. Nobody's even asking that if she was so afraid of Diddy, why did her and her husband, after she was safe, continue to kind of poke jabs at Diddy online as if you were just out of harm's way totally. I want us to remember that Kim Porter was no longer dealing with Diddy like that. They just had a co-parenting type relationship, and yet and still, she wanted to keep talking about it and bringing it up too in the form of writing a book. And look at where she ended up. She ended up in the same place, in the same situation as Nicole Brown Simpson, who, even though she was a self-proclaimed gold digger who said in high school that her career goal was to marry somebody who is rich. That was her path to success, not by hard work. And she did exactly that by starting to sleep with a married man when she was 18 years old, and then got pregnant by him, convinced him to leave his black wife, who went all the way back to the sandbox with OJ. and he kicked his black wife and black kids right on out of the mansion, left them high and dry. Once again, in true Diddy fashion, now let me give all of my resources to another community. However, the reason why people did not help, quote unquote, save her sooner was because this is what people are going to look at as far as women. After a certain point in time, they're going to say, if you won't save yourself, then clearly we can't save you. So they kept living off OJ's money. They kept going on the yachts and the trips. And at the end, after he did what he did and the glove did not fit, they had to acquit. So now let's get into how we can use Quad as a case study, because this is yet another example of how black women are always vilified, not believed, not protected, and called gold diggers anytime they want to find themselves in the type of situation that Nicole did and that Cassie did. And also, I want you to point out that just like with Nicole and Cassie, there was also an age gap with Quad and with the new wife, Sweet Tea. There was an age and a severe financial wealth gap, an income gap. And that is where the crux of the control happened in all of these cases. In later cases, I'm going to show you how it's something totally different, where it's more likely what most of you find yourself in, which is giving your body and your resources to a man that is not on your level and don't even deserve it. But let's just continue here. What I want you to do is make sure that you're reading all of the captions from the still images from the show. What I love about Dr. Heavenly is, even though she's messy and all of the other things that we can say about Heavenly, she 1000% is a go-getter and she believes in having her own. And that is why, even though Dr. Heavenly is also in a relationship with a high-income earner, Heavenly is in an egalitarian relationship. So she's not going to go through some of the same things that these ladies went through because of the advice that she gave Sweet Tea. She said, my mama always told me, always have your own. And this is what you ladies need to make sure that you do. Never let a man put you in a lifestyle that you can't afford by yourself. So that means even if it's a dual income type situation, you always need to live below your means. And most importantly, don't ever get so fancy and so caught up in material things that when the going gets tough, you have too much pride, or you're too accustomed to nice things, or you value material over your own life to the point that you won't get yourself out of a bad situation. Okay? So this is what I want to point out with Quad. Quad was in medical sales. She also had her own money. Like Sweet Tea was saying, I have my own money. I do make money, right? But Dr. G wanted to continue to put that financial incongruent type relationship because he wanted Quad to be at home and cook and clean and have babies. Whereas Quad said, no, we need to make sure that our relationship is stable before we bring kids into the situation. And yet you all continue to say that it was just about the money for her. If it were just about the money for Quad, then she would have made sure that she got a baby ASAP so that she could get that alimony and that child support. She didn't do that. And you still called her a gold digger. At some point in time, we're going to have to admit that you just hate the fact that it was the dark girl or the brown girl who got the prince or got the prize or got the high income earning man, when everything about society has told you that women of a darker hue are supposed to be less desirable and they're supposed to be the last one chosen. That's why you all really don't like Quad. It's not just her personality, because most of her jabs are her defending herself. But what's specifically disgusting here is the fact that Sweet Tea told Heavenly that Dr. G not only throws up the fact that he pays for everything in her face, but also he took it so far that because she kept forgetting to set the alarm, he staged a burglary, or he lied about there being a burglary. He told her that men had broken into the house with guns just to scare her into, I bet you next time you're going to set the alarm. See, what he's showing her already is, first and foremost, I pay for everything, so you better do what I say. And not only that, I value my property and the material items in my home more than I value my soon-to-be wife's feelings and putting that type of emotional stress and trauma on her. I also want to point out that this is yet another situation where we already knew this about Dr. G. We saw it play out before our very eyes. We saw Quad talking about his infidelity. So he's a philanderer, he's a cheater. And then also she was talking about the physical altercations where Gregory slammed her to the ground and all of this other stuff. And I want you to pay attention to how unfazed the women were, how the women did not console her, how the men did not condemn Greg. And then when their marriage was falling apart and Quad was filing for divorce, they didn't get up and do the whole help us save your marriage thing that they did for Simone and Cecil. See, as a black woman, you have to qualify yourself as a victim and prove that you're a victim. You have to do all of this performative stuff. And people won't just believe you and console you and protect you like they're doing Cassie, like they did for Nicole. And even still with them, they let it go on way too long. Don't let this happen to you. Sweet Tea is another example because you saw her say at the end, well, I think it's all going to work out. And I think that the marriage is going to be fine. She is already making the fatal mistake of, first and foremost, chasing a man instead of letting him come to you. And then finally, she is hoping for the best or hoping that she's going to be the exception to the rule when she already has a clear-cut pattern of behavior. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Like how Sweet Tea came out and admitted that she was a gold digger basically, but y'all didn't have the same gold digger smoke for her that you had for Quad, which is why I'm making a whole separate video about Quad because there's a lot of things that you did that on. So let's talk about some other situations where even though we have the evidence, we still blame and question and vilify the black woman. See, one thing about me is no red pill, no pink pill over here. It's that orange pill for balance. Balance equals righteousness, and anything that lacks balance will inevitably lead to chaos. That's my core principle on my platform. And what you see that's going on in our community right now is chaos. You have situations like Krishan, who literally fights everybody, grown men, women, elders, the youth, and everybody. You all were questioning James as if you couldn't believe that this person who fights all the time hit him. And it reminded me of how a lot of people were questioning and making fun of Raz B. One of the things that we have to remember is men can be victims too. But I don't want you all to confuse that with what is going on with the Keke Palmer situation, which is what started all of this for me and prompted me to really make this video comparing what black women go through with what somebody like Cassie, who is getting all of this support for. Now, true enough, when you know somebody is violent and has these tendencies, you need to go ahead and put these people in jail the first time. And I think that that is the mistake that was made in a couple of situations with black women that have been in the news headlines lately. But the thing that I got messed up with about Krishan is the fact that Tamar, toxic self, was the one that invited her on the tour and then waited days to come out and speak up for James. Just like according to her and Mama Evelyn, they waited years to come out and speak up against Vince, right? So, of course, that also reminded me of the Meg Thee Stallion situation where at first she didn't want to, press charges. She lied and said that it was glass instead of those fragments. And then the lies and trying to cover up in the beginning ended up biting her in the butt later on. But the truth of the matter is, once again, it was a pattern of behavior. So if he had went in jail when he beat up Dax, when he beat up Prince from Love and Hip Hop Miami, and then later on after he assaulted Meg, he assaulted August Alsina, it's a whole pattern of behavior, and his actually starts all the way back in his childhood. He been like this. So if somebody had deaded this whole situation a long time ago with Tory Lanez, we never would have gotten to the situation that we're in now, and he wouldn't be in jail. But what was disheartening for me is that in my comment section, when I was saying that we need to have a funeral for no snitch culture, you had black women in the comments still riding die hard for Tory Lanez. To which my response is, sweetie, y'all so male identified that y'all don't even realize Tory didn't even get on the stand under oath and proclaim his own innocence. So why y'all still out here windmilling in the streets and in the comments for a man that didn't even defend himself? I also want you to pay attention to the fact, like, just like nobody is telling Cassie, well, why now? And you should have chose better. And why didn't you report him a long time ago? Why did you stay so long? All of the questions that black women get asked, she's not getting that. And likewise, Darius is claiming that he was so abused by Keke and Keke is so violent, and he's using secret recordings and excerpts from her book, and also any amount of pillow talking that she did with him while she was out here giving him her cheat code instead of going and talking to a therapist about this type stuff. This is what you all do with these men. You put crowns on the heads of clowns. You call people kings who have no kingdoms, not even so much as homeowners. Don't even take care of their own children. Do not protect and provide. And yet and still, with no historical evidence of there ever being a consistent presence of this done in the past, you're still waiting on a group of men who are the most subjugated, the lowest men on the patriarchal totem pole. You're waiting on them to step in and protect you when they cannot even protect themselves. So basically, you're out here catching rubber bullets to the face and marching and protesting for a group of men who drag you mercilessly online. Let me tell you something, daughter. What a man is willing to say about you online and in public, if it's that bad, what you need to know is these men are doing and saying 20 times worse behind closed doors. Molly, you in danger, girl. So stop protecting the men who not only do they never protect you, but also they never learn. We got, what's his name? Jamie Foxx out here right now, still getting ready to settle down with one of these same types of women that just got him dragged to Kingdom Come for misinterpreting a comment. And what do you have in that situation too? Once again, black women windmilling in the streets for Jamie Foxx, somebody that never chose them and wouldn't piss on you to put you out if you caught fire. Stop taking up for people who never learn. You all are sacrificing your safety, your finances, your credit score, and everything else for a group of men who praise and pedestalize another or other communities of women, whereas all they do for you is consistently make you the butt of their jokes. They make a caricature out of you, and they take the lowest and worst examples of black womanhood and use that to penalize you all. It's high time that you kept that same energy, because if you study history, honey, there have been too many times that black women and children ended up having to hide out in swamps and woods and things of that nature and getting their houses and businesses burned down for one of their interactions with the same type of women that they praise right now today. These men never learn, and also they're constantly putting you in a bad position, and you're constantly being made to take the fall or bear the brunt of their actions. It's high time that you all let this go. There has never been a time where you have gotten this same protection. And what's so sad is black women are so male identified that they drag other black women who try to stand up to black men instead of coddling and protecting them all the time, which is exactly what you all did to Anita Hill, because Clarence Thomas was yet another black man that as soon as you got on, you went to another community, and every bit of power and resources that you had, you used that not only to benefit another community, but also to punish and penalize a woman in your community that was completely unproblematic. Reese Taylor was married. Do you think that her husband and his friends squatted up and did a whole mob and went and rode on them men who did that to Reese Taylor in the same way that they did Emmett Till? No, they didn't. And they never do, because what they do know is they can't even protect themselves. If they so much as look somebody dead in the eye, forget to step off the sidewalk, or whistle at somebody or accidentally touch their hand, they gonna end up being strange fruit. And these are the men that you're waiting on to protect you. Daughter, let me just tell you all something. What you also don't need to do is waste your energy trying to do to men online what they're doing to you with all of this manosphere rhetoric. You don't need to bash them, hate them, or harm them in any way. You simply need to de-center men. Stop making everything you do and say and wear and ask for, every bit of standards that you have or do not have, is all surrounded by what men think and want and what they say. And sweetie, it's just never worked out for you. This is the time to stop doing it because it does not make sense. And also, it doesn't make sense that we keep supporting and praising and glorifying these men and also Black women who are the lowest common denominators. Now, all of a sudden, the only representation that we have are the sexy reds and the Sukianas. So, if you like more thought-provoking talking points like this and you'd like to learn more, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe because representation matters.